Hey, GD Talbot here. Yay! A video about writing. I know. Major mistake. I know it's been for years. I always talk about politics on this YouTube channel, and it's actually my author YouTube channel. I understand it's a mistake. You're not supposed to do it. I just lazy and don't want more than one YouTube channel. But finally, I was inspired to talk about something about writing, and I thought this was a great thing to talk about. And it's the show versus tell argument and how narcissistic authors get when you have a discussion. And what it comes down to is the last few days I was in a writer's group. Someone said they're struggling with show versus tell, and we're told you need to learn the difference. And they were asking for, suggestions how to get better or examples to show. So I gave an example showing how you can put action into something to make it showing instead of telling. And I put together, I just threw something together in 5 seconds. I said, thinking, your main character, oh, so-and-so thought, is really bad telling. So I think I wrote something like, John thought to himself, I really hate Peter. Like, that's definitely a bad telling. I said, you want to get something closer to like John curled up his lip and spits on Pete's shoes. Yes, you're showing the reader that there's a massive disdain, dislike, possible hatred between John and Peter, at least from John to Peter. And it's a simple thing. I remind you, we're talking about a Facebook post, not a novel, not a book, not a scene in a book. Or saying, oh, here's a quick example. This other author came on and immediately started criticizing the example I gave and tried critiquing it. Mind you, his main point, he made a main point trying to say, here's what showing actually is. And he actually gave an example of telling. So I was like, why are you like being like this? Like, it didn't make any sense to me at all. I'm like, I wrote something in like 5 seconds to give a simple example. Yes, you gave us an example for us to critique and change. No, I didn't. I gave a simple example to the person here that made the post looking for examples and solutions and things how to do this. No one asked you to critique any of their writers. No one even asked you to. And when you did it incorrectly, and you actually showed you don't know the difference between show versus tell. And at no time did you ever give an example to the aspiring author who's looking for help. This is what you think they should do so they can learn and grow and communicate. I mean, the narcissist on this person, and they just kept going on and on. Finally, they ended it with, oh, wait till people have to edit your work. You're going to have a rude awakening. What? Dude, I'm a published author. Like, maybe, most of my stuff is self-published. I only have one work that's actually published through a small little online publishing type of blog place, a creative gremlin. They published one of my short stories. So most of it is self-published, but I've actually been through the process a few times. I've learned and grown, and anybody who follows me knows the first thing I'll tell you is I've learned the hard way, because I'm not a professional writer. I'm a great storyteller, and I'm trying to become a better writer. And I've probably gone from being a bad writer to great storyteller to being a great storyteller, mediocre writer. Like, I'm growing. I'm becoming better. That's the whole point. And anybody who wants to tear me down for that, go right ahead. I don't care. I'm going to grow and learn. And this is the reason I push other authors so much for the same thing. Grow and learn, because 99% of us in the world now are not professional writers. We're just self-publishing people trying to tell a story we want to hear. But this guy, holy cow, like, you put out there for me to... No, I didn't. Like, what are you talking about? I don't even know who you are. So I went onto his Facebook account. There is absolutely nothing on his Facebook account about being an author. Not a single thing. So I queried his name and found that he does have a separate author account on Facebook. Went to look at that. Almost nothing about being an author. It was more like narcissistic, passive-aggressive negativeness towards other authors. I noticed he doesn't, that Facebook account is pretty much inactive. He uses his personal account to attack other authors, and then he has an author account where he does something Very, very bad. And his personal account that he's using as an author account, because he's obviously trying to keep it separate so people don't track into his author work from what he's saying and attacking people, is 99% politics, and it's confused politics. I don't want to get into, I'm trying to get away from politics, but basically, I voted for this person because I love them, and then mocks and makes fun of all the policies of the party he supports. So yeah, like extremely confused. But I'm not surprised. He's a boomer. He's old. He's retired. He caught my attention. I'm like, wow, this is some massive arrogance from this boomer Karen. I want to see his works, because to be this arrogant man, he must have some really outstanding high record, volume sales. I can't find a single published work by this person. I tracked down his different accounts because I wanted to see what he made. It basically got back to a blog where he writes, and basically, from what I'm gathering online, I didn't bother going to the blog. Basically, he just pumps himself up. See my blog. See my blog. I'm like, holy cow! Like, what is wrong with you? And this is not the first time I've come into this problem with people from the boomer generation. Someone very close and dear to my heart as a person was an author, and he's a boomer, and he's the same way. Massive arrogance. I'm always right. You're always wrong. And they couldn't learn. They couldn't grow. They couldn't become better than where they are right now. It was very sad, because this guy might have some good work. I saw he brags about being a retired construction worker. I'm like, oh, that's a point of view of someone being an author. And I hope people understand what I'm saying. You see people out there go, I went to college for this, and I teach literature at the local campus, and I wrote all these papers. Here's a book I wrote. Like they have this long list of what made them an author. His thing is, here's my experiences. I was a construction worker, retired, and here's my construction work as being a normal, everyday Joe, and I went into writing. Then he didn't actually write or publish anything. Like, said other than a blog, like pumping himself up, making himself feel good. And I guess that's okay, but I don't understand the tearing down of other authors. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And still hasn't given an example of this poor author who wants to know the difference between show and tell. Show and tell, and you guys out there know, is one of the number one mistakes new authors are making. I did. Oh boy, I made this mistake. And, and I've become better because of it. And I've grown because of it. But when you go in and you wrote something in 5 minutes for me to critique. No, like what? The arrogance of this boomer Karen, it just amazed me. And it goes back, when I used to talk about the inspirational creative loop. This was something I talked about years ago that I wrote. It's basically an outline, very, very logical outline, how my creative process works. And I openly gave it to people and said, steal whatever you want from my creative process. Anything, if it even inspires you into another creative process, why not? Like, I steal from other people all the time. They say, well, I've done this, and helps me get creative and things like that. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to try that. Like, so why not? We should. We're all on groups together. We're all helping each other. We're all trying to pick each other up. But it just reminded me of this guy. All he does is tear people down. Like, there is nothing about him about lifting people up. It's all about narcissistic, look at me, I'm the best. And he literally has no works out there. He doesn't promote any works other than a blog, and he has no following. I'm not surprised. Like, you can have me. I was up to 10,000 followers at one point, and still, if you go by book sales, I am a massive failure. If you go by accomplishments of actually getting out there, getting it done, getting it edited, getting it published, constantly working on your writing, people find me to be very successful. I just haven't found my groove to get people to come and read and buy my works, which is, I'm not in the marketing. I'm not good at it. I don't even try to be good at it. I just throw myself out there and say, here, this is what I'm doing, which a lot of us are doing. But of course, I'm sure if this Karen Boomer sees this, he's going to go, so my point as I'm getting out there is, if you're an aspiring author, don't tear down other authors. Don't do it. Somebody's asking for help and asking for examples. Don't go and personally critique like you are the number one editor of the universe when you have no known published works. Like, holy cow. Like, all you've done is made negativity, try to tear me down, which doesn't work. I don't mind conflict. I like it. Most authors will avoid conflict at any point. And I've noticed this a lot. That doesn't mean they don't write about, things that are controversial and things like that. And don't get me wrong, there are authors out there who write highly controversial books and then get right in your face and say, come on, let's debate about it. Yes, there is. That's not what I'm saying. The majority of us do not like, conflict with other authors and our readers. We don't. We want you to either enjoy or not enjoy, go on about your day. And I write stuff that's extremely controversial. I understand it's controversial, but I'm not the normal writer. I'll actually, if you're going to be respectful to me, I'll actually sit down and talk about the controversy I put in my books. And honestly, when I first started writing, I didn't think it was that controversial, things I put in my books. Boy, my readers had another thing to say. Good news is most of them agree with it. They said, this is good. This is something to make us think about, something to talk about. Like, almost every story I've written has some kind of showing of racism that I don't think people talk about, or even if they see, they don't talk about, or they're not seeing happening in society. And I think it's something worth discussing, because just to make people better people, just a quick example, in one of my books, the main character is a Hispanic woman, and her boss is constantly using like joking racism to try to motivate her. Just because he's not trying to be harmful, it doesn't stop it from being very negative and racist. It's kind of like the same thing, when people say, oh, all Asians are good at math and bad at driving. No. Just because a group of people, have a high statistics of being good at math doesn't mean everyone is. And it's very detrimental to, like, when you say something like that and an Oriental person hears that and they're not good at math, that's extremely detrimental to them. Like, why can't I be as good? Yeah, like, I like to point out things like that, but we already know about this, the example I'm giving. In my book, I've known in the past people using racism jokes to try to motivate, a boss or employee. And it's not a good thing. And I think it's something we should talk about. So in one of my books, I did talk about that. And people get upset because somehow they think it's supporting. Like, I'm glad that it's a mass minority of people who read my books think that I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to say, here is something that happens sometimes in our society and it shouldn't. Anyhow, but back to the boomer Karen. I don't know what's going on with this guy. I feel kind of bad for him too, because I've met his type before. I've helped the elderly community, the generation before me, the boomer generation, my father's generation. I've helped, try to help people in that generation. They're trying to get into writing and have a creative process and be able to get works done, and how to present themselves when pitching to agents and publishing houses. And this gentleman actually thinks a Facebook post is somehow pitching to him. I like I said, it's crazy. So back to my main point. Don't be negative. Don't be passive aggressive. Don't be a narcissist, and don't pump yourself up to make yourself feel good against other authors who are working in our craft. We're here for each other. If you want that kind of mentality in your day-to-day life, go be, into the business world. Be one of these multi-billionaires who are constantly undercutting their employees, constantly trying to screw over their competitors, finding a way to destroy their competitors. Money, 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 money. Go do that. Then you can be an egotistical a-hole all you want. No one will be surprised. But when you're in an artistic craft, it is not good to tear down and bring in negativity. Creativity shouldn't be about negativity. It should be about positivity, because you want to be positive while you create, so you want to create more. All right, but I'm GD Talbot. If you're out and about today, say something nice to somebody, especially in retail. Kind words spread joy. And I'm out. I'm dry and I'm out. Bye.